booktube. We're in the middle of a tense little personality standoff here at Hyde Cottage. The breeze that you see blowing that window curtain is hot. It is hot outside. Pavement is hot. The air is hot. That breeze is like something off planet Vulcan. It's 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside. It's 90 degrees. Have mercy, John, please. It's hot as hell in Philadelphia. And that presents a battle of wills because Frida wants to go out and charge around, and that weather will quickly overheat her. I'm trying to make that point, but she's getting more and more antsy, so we're going to have to go out and try at least a little. We'll go out and walk around until she gets tired, and then I'll just be the bad guy and bring her back in. And we've already had a huge number of Steve videos today, a huge amount of Steve in your booktube feed. And I'm not, despite appearances, trying to break you. But I thought we'd do one more video today, a mail haul. I got a little bit of mail, just 3 packages. I thought we'd go through that as something other than Q&A, although how anyone could not find those Q&As interesting, I don't know, since we covered, once again, your questions covered all of creation. But we'll do a little mail and see what we have here, because that's always interesting. And then I'll shut up until tomorrow. So we won't do any Library Tour of Doom, no poetry, no Star Trek today. You can't have 10 Steve videos a day, right? You can't. You just can't. So we'll control ourselves. So what have we got? Oh, okay. This is the folks at New York Review of Books. They come out with a line of reprints and translations and works, always interesting, almost never on my wavelength, almost always of more interest to some of the rest of you than to me. Okay, it looks like this will be the same. This will be one of those things that's just, at least not on the surface, of interest to me. I love the design of these things, especially now that they invest in higher quality paper stock for their cover. That was one of my initial problems with the New York Review of Books line of books, is that the cover's curled up on you, and who needs that? You know, if you're going to get a trade paperback, you spend what, $18? $18, yeah. Then I want it to be better made, and they changed that. They fixed it. So the trade, these are good trade paperbacks to have. They're actually, as long as I'm plugging them, I should say. I don't agree with their editorial choices a lot of the time. If I ran a reprint line that had their kind of money and loyalty, you can bet I would be printing a lot of different things than they do. But it's always interesting. It always feels like there are real people, real brains at those decision-making tables. So I should point out, thanks to that fact, and also the unpredictability of the line, and also the quality of the paperback, I should point out that if you go to New York Review of Books' website and they have some kind of subscription plan, I don't actually know if they do or not. They don't make enough books so that I would think about it anyway, even if they didn't send them to me for free. But if you go to their website and they have some sort of subscription plan, I would strongly suggest plunking the money and just get these things in the mail. But what do we got this time around? This is a book called Capo by Alexander Tishma, afterward by David Reef. The third novel in the Yugoslavian author Alexander Tishma, am I saying Tishma right? In his Novi Sad trilogy. Capo is a devastatingly intimate confrontation with the frailty of our humanity. The 2 previous books were The Book of Blam and The Use of Man. I think I remember The Book of Blam. I think I remember that. Those are also in the NYRB Classic. On the website, they might have all sorts of deals. If you're interested in this sort of adventurous contemporary literature translation, that sort of thing, give it a try. I don't usually shill for it, but they're doing great work. It's not work that almost ever appeals to me, but it's still great work. And a subscription on their website, I haven't looked, but I would assume it would be the cheapest way to get all of these new releases. Let's see here. Capo is set after the atrocities of the Second World War. In those previous novels, the author tells the story of the Holocaust through the traumatized perspectives of its few surviving victims. In this book, he with brutally detached clarity, turns to a character who escaped this trauma only by becoming one of its perpetrators, hence the title. The capos in the concentration camps were inmates who got to postpone their own death a little by helping their oppressors. There shouldn't have been any capos, but there were, in every concentration camp, Jews who helped to stuff the bodies in, to rake the bodies out, to break the jaws, to pull out gold teeth, to confiscate any kind of gold coins, any kind of value secreted on the person. to confiscate hair, to confiscate teeth, to confiscate fingernails, or even finger bones, to rake out the detritus from the ovens at the end of every day. It was capos in the camps that did that. So Lamian survived Auschwitz by serving his Nazi masters as a capo, a prisoner selected by the SS to supervise and brutalize his fellow prisoners. Okay, so I didn't need to give you the little rundown. The bum sheet's going to do that for me. Lamian has settled anonymously with a respectable job in a Bosnian town. The Nazis' crimes, and Lamian's are in the past. Then one day they are alive again in the present. Lamian comes across the name of Helen Livka, a woman like him, a Yugoslav and a Jew, he raped in a camp. Capo charts Lamian's guilt, terror, hope, and despair in the face of himself. As David Reef writes in his afterwards, this staggering and invaluable novel offers us nothing less than a relentless questioning of whether life could be lived after Auschwitz. This, he writes, should be our question as well. Okay, I have to admit, after all that throat clearing about how New York Review of Books and I don't get along, this sounds great. Sounds fascinating. I don't actually think I read any of the two books before. It doesn't sound like I need to. I will read this. Do I have a date on this? September 7th. That's close enough. I will read this weekend. The only reason that I hesitated there is because if the Nazis pay you or tell you, we're not going to pay you, but we're not going to kill you right away, provided you help us to kill others and brutalize them, beat them, starve them, pry teeth out of their living mouths, separate them from their children, you are a Nazi. So let's not have any of that talk of the Nazis' crimes and Lamian's crimes. They're the same. If someone says that to you and you say anything other than go to hell, then you are a Nazi. I won't stress this too much. We're having a fun mail haul here. But I want to stress for the 21st century, because it's going to become far more important, that you are the same if you do that. But anyway, so the author has 8 novels as well as 6 collection of short stories. Good Lord. And has long been overlooked by English language readers. Well, thanks to the New York Review of Books, that's a lot harder to justify. That's one of the reasons why I say they're doing the Lord's work. That this is great work that they're doing. Though the 3 novels that made up his trilogy, first published in 1972, 76, and 87, so this came out in 1987, 10 years after the one before it, earned him acclaim far beyond the Balkans, Capo has been out of print in English for more than 20 years, until now. With this reissue, the author's clear-eyed reckoning with evil, remorse, and redemption prove him to be a major European author and an irreplaceable accountant of the wounds of history. Okay, so I'm naturally wondering from that, the wording there, is this the translation from 20 years ago? Did the New York Review of Books commission a new translation? No, they did not. No, they did not. This is a translation from 1993. Okay, not that I assume that it matters. The translator is Richard Williams. Okay, all right. Yeah, the translator is Richard Williams. All right, fantastic. So this will be grim reading, very grim. I've read, I think, 5 books, 5 studies, historical studies of capos in the camps, and 2 of those 5 were written by people who got a lot of first-hand information from the capos themselves. That was part of the oral underpinning of their book, so it naturally led to a certain degree of sympathy. But there is no sympathy I can feel for these people. They're in hell, yes, absolutely, but there's a difference between being in hell and being an efficient part of hell. The answer, if a Nazi tells you to do anything, is go to hell. The answer, if a Nazi tells you to do anything, is go to hell. I don't care if you're defending your family. I don't care if you're defending your nation, your state, your bloc. If the choices are those, obey or suffer, then the answer to any Nazi, whether it's something horrific from history like this, or whether it's a Nazi who's telling you at your front door that you need to put this sign up in your lawn, the answer is go to hell, and nothing else. But we'll see. This book will certainly not make me sympathetic to Lamian. But depending on how well it's translated, it may make me feel a lot of other things. That's fantastic. Can't wait. Okay, so my peroration about the New York Review of Books was well-founded. They sent me a book that I actually want to read. Great. Then we have a priority mail envelope. I don't really know what this could be. Publishers don't tend to do this. Because they have bulk rates. So this might be from one of you. This might be a gift from one of you. Those of you who are brand new to this channel, this is a very weird parasocial relationship where we give each other things all the time and there's no merchandising or anything like that. Yes, okay. This is a gift. This is a gift from one of you. Did you include a note? Or maybe the note was in an email and I just, oh man, what a gift. Oh, I have to show these to Mark. Oh man, what a gift. Okay, these are analog, the science fiction magazine Analog. These are analog issues from 1964. Look at that, look at that. So one of you found these, these two issues. They're in perfect condition. They're not ratty at all. They were in plastic bags. Oh man, 2 old issues of Analog. This brings to mind New Worlds November. This is a booktube event that we're doing in November in which we're reading science fiction, short stories. And we're going to be, Mark and I anyway, but I assume all of our co-hosts are going to be ranging all over old magazines like this, although from 1964. Good Lord. All right, so let's see what we have here. This is lovely. Right, there's a rocket ship. It's venting something, and there are 2 people. I'm assuming they're trying to get away from it. But let's see who's in here. Who would be in a 1964 issue of Analog? John Campbell is still the editor, still on the top of the masthead. So Analog has some science fiction fact things where people will write about science fiction. And the first one of those is how to make a robot speak English. Whole lifetime ago. Some of you were alive in 1964, but it's a whole lifetime ago. Everything that's in this article of speculation will have long since become real. That is strange. That is one of the things that that technologies increase in this lifetime has done. It has made us all live in a science fiction future. That, despite historical relativism, that would not have been true in a lot of other periods. If you lived in, this is 2021, if you lived in 1421, the technology around your life, the things that you do and how you do it, would not significantly have changed from 1364. It would hardly have changed at all. Here, it's a complete change. If someone had written an article, a science fact article in 1364's Analog about, I don't even know, there were not even prototypical computers, but I don't even know, some implement of farming or something like that, it wouldn't have been any different in 1421. So that's going to be fascinating to read right there. But what about the fiction? Okay, so the novelette in here is by Mac Reynolds, who's since fallen away. He's not reprinted. People don't read him anymore. One of the short stories is by Damon Knight. He's still fairly well known, although I think completely out of print. And the other short story is by Philip Gefffe, G-E-F-F-E. Don't know that name. Then there's a serial, part 2 of 3, Sleeping Planet by William Burkett. I know that name, but I don't think I've ever read that. And then there's the usual stuff, the editor's page, collection of book reviews. Fantastic. Oh, this is just incredible. Just incredible. This is going to be just so much fun to read. Thank you so much. Whoever sent this. Did you find this online? Did we already talk about this? How incredible. How absolutely incredible. All right, so that was August of 1964. So all those years ago this month. And then we have December of 1964. This was 50 cents. This is the other cover. Once again, we have an implicit drama. You leaving the bright light of home on there, the Best Western Hotel. You wouldn't leave the door open if this were the case. You wouldn't do that. I realize the artist is trying to give you that, but someone's looking and someone is stalking with a weapon. So who have we got here? Will John Campbell still be at the top here? Yes, he is. He's still at the top here. So who have we got in this one? The science fact this time around is by Joseph Jackson, and it's called Tempestuous Moon. What does that mean? Is it going to say that there are storms on the moon? When science knows that anything it doesn't understand is necessarily nonsense, it's a little difficult to get new, important, but understood facts recognized. Science knew astrology, and anything they thought sounded like astrology, therefore, was nonsense. Therefore, the moon couldn't really affect our weather. There's the moon affecting our weather. You want to get down, baby? Off you go. Okay, so that's going to be interesting. That lunar studies would have been in their infancy in 1964. Then the novelette is Plague on Kreider, Part 2 by Murray Leinster. Murray Leinster is a terrifically fun science fiction author to read, but no one reads him anymore. Not in print, never will be in print again. Then who we got for short stories? One by Walter and Lee Richmond, don't know them. One by Christopher Anvil, don't know that. One by Harry Harrison, probably pretty enjoyable. And one by Norman Spinrad, also pretty enjoyable. Probably the Norman Spinrad probably has the best chance of being the only one in here that's any good. And then a serial, The Conclusion of Sweet Dreams, Sweet Princes, also by Mac Reynolds. Okay. Oh, fantastic. Oh, these are just going to be incredible to go through. And they're in perfect condition. I mean, and perfect condition not in the sense of collectibles, but in the sense of magazines. I don't need to be gentle with these things at all. I can just read them. Analog has since become smaller, a digest-sized magazine that I subscribe to. But I don't have any from 1964. Wow. I'm going to have to show these to Mark. He had a whole collection of these things that he doesn't have anymore. I wonder if he had anything this old. 1964, he would have been a tiny kid. He might have been collecting them then. Fantastic. All right, well, you never know where my mail hauls are going to go, so this is a lot of fun. And then we'll finish up with a box. But it's not a terrifically exciting box because it's thin. It's wafer thin. So it won't be any of the big 800-page biographies that are galumphing our way for the autumn. Those are coming, including a founding father biography that I'm going to have to deal with. Okay, what is this? Oh, wow. Okay. All right, it came with an invoice, not any kind of a pub sheet, so I don't know when this comes out. But this is Saved at the Seawall. Stories from the September 11th boat lift. Wow. Okay, so the people who went to the seawall panicking and were lifted off from there. Incredible. Saved at the Seawall. This will be a September 11th book of a type I've never read before. Fantastic. Well, I don't have a pub sheet. We can read the back of the book. This is a finished $18 paperback, so I'm assuming this is either out already or coming out soon. Saved at the Seawall is the definitive history of the largest ever waterborne evacuation. That can't possibly be true. Right? That can't possibly be true. The evacuation of New York, it cannot be bigger than Dunkirk. That's got to be localized, right? Anyway, let's move on here. Jessica DuLong reveals the dramatic story of how the New York Harbor maritime community heroically delivered stranded commuters, residents, and visitors out of harm's way, even before the U.S. Coast Guard called for all available boats, tugs, ferries, dinner boats, and other vessels had sped to the rescue from all points across New York Harbor. In less than 9 hours, captains and crews transported nearly 500,000 people from Manhattan. That would be bigger than Dunkirk. Good Lord. Well, I said, an aspect of the 9/11, I've read a lot of 9/11 books, but I've never read anything like this, never read anything on this subject. Anchored in eyewitness accounts and written by a mariner who served at Ground Zero, Saved at the Seawall weaves together the personal stories of people rescued that day with those of the mariners who saved them. DuLong describes the inner workings of New York Harbor and reveals the collaborative power of its close-knit community. Her chronicle of those crucial hours when hundreds of thousands of lives were at risk highlights how resourcefulness and basic human goodness triumphed over turmoil on one of America's darkest days. That sounds incredible. That sounds just amazing. Okay, great. Fantastic. So this is Three Hills Press, an imprint of Cornell University Press. And I don't have a date on this, but those of you who are interested in 9/11, I know quite a few of you are devotedly interested in 9/11. You are finally getting a brand new book, a book that covers, it sounds like full detail, an aspect of 9/11 that's never been covered in this depth before. Incredible. That's fantastic. Okay, well, I'll check the pub date on this, but I really want to read it right away. I think I want to read everything here right away. What a mail haul. Okay, I'm glad I did this, even though it's like the 10th video today. We won't do any more. We'll catch up on tomorrow. So we have Saved at the Seawall. Stories from the September 11th boat lift that got 500,000 people off Manhattan. I did not know that. Then 2 old issues of Analog from 1964 in perfect condition. These can just be read. I do not have to be delicate with these. The paper is not falling off. The cover is not falling off. Great. great. Thank you so much, whoever sent them. And finally, Capo, by a Hungarian writer or is that right? Do you remember that correctly? Is that right? Well, Yugoslavian, would we call him Yugoslavian now? Well, one way or another. A major, an author that the editor crew at New York Review of Books, with whom I so often disagree, are claiming is major and deserves to be better known. Those ranks are infinite. They're infinitely expandable. I'm happy to add someone to them. Can't wait. So I want to read all of these tonight. I can't exactly do that. I have 2 other reading commitments, and the night is not infinitely expandable. But one way or another, what a mail haul! Fantastic. So I'm gonna wrap this up and then try to upload everything today, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.